Back for another round of gravel racing, stage 2 of the Pass Racing series on the Handful of Gravel course. This is very much the same or similar to the previous stage 1, which was actually canceled because of all the problems they had. So it was just a race. So this is effectively stage 1 of the series. I'm back in the 210 to 330 range. I've actually ridden this, I rode this stage earlier in the week because after stage 1, my racing score was boosted up and pushed me into the next higher range where I'm at the bottom. So I raced this course in that range and got smoked basically. I got 20th place, I think, or something like that, which pushed my racing score back down beneath the 330 threshold. So now I'm back for this race where I'm back more at the top of the range. So hopefully I can do a little bit better this time. I'm also better prepared for this start. I learned on the first race that I'm on the gravel bike for this course, but it's got a tarmac lead, and I learned during that first race, that the gravel bike is super slow on tarmac. So it's a struggle to maintain the pack in this first part of the race on tarmac. And if I could just hang in there until we get on the dirt, then it's much easier. And so I'll know that I'm gonna have to push extra hard just in the first, I don't know, it's not that long, but it's enough to make it a little bit hard. But if I could just hang on to the pack once we get on the dirt, it's much easier. And here we go. The start actually isn't quite as hard as the previous round. I think I stay below 4 watts per kilo on this, and that's kind of my goal. I like to do just enough to stay in the pack. I don't want to get in front. I don't want to drop off the back. I just want to push hard enough to stay in the main pack. And I also realized that it's not an immediate downhill. I initially thought this was downhill straight out of the pens, but it's got a flat section for a couple hundred meters here before it tips down. So I need to keep the power on to stay in here and not have to push extra hard to catch back up. So I'm trying to walk that fine line, putting out just enough power to stay in the group and especially till it start up to a point where it starts tipping down, like right about here where it starts to go downhill. Then I can ease up a little bit more and sit in a bit more. And I don't have to be right on the front because I know as soon as we can hit gravel, it's going to be a lot easier. And we'll actually see that happen. I think it's a really amazing phenomenon to see how much of a difference the gravel bike makes as soon as we get on the dirt. Because right here, I'm pushing 3 watts here, which is not a bunch, but I'm still, I'm going downhill at what, 3% grade. And it just, again, I mentioned it last time, it feels harder than it should be because I'm used to being on a road bike at this point and just practically freewheeling in the pack going downhill like this. But with the gravel bike, I still have to put out some power. And I'm not up at the front, and I'm pushing pretty hard to stay. As soon as we hit gravel, look how fast I go up to the front. And it's not like everybody just stop pedaling, but I just go right through the pack and almost through the front up to the lead spot. So it's, again, really kind of a funky experience. The pack kind of stays together through the rest of this downhill, and the road bikes can keep up. But right about here is where I realize the front part is kind of getting away, and so I push on some power a little bit, because I don't want to get gapped. So I make my way up to the front group and bridge a couple of gaps that were forming, and I'm glad I did this right at this time because I think had I not been paying attention to this, I could have been gapped and had to do even more work to get up to the front. But right about here is where things start to separate out to a large extent. So I'm pushing pretty hard to get back into the top 5, top 10 at least, um, to stay with it. And then there's this bridge, which is it's tough because there's a super steep ramp up on the other side. So and you want to get as much speed as you can on the downhill, so you can sort of carry that momentum up to the top, and through over the top. You don't want to get dropped at this point. And so I did a pretty good job here, I think, of doing that and getting back up onto this guy here. This professor, we'll see what happens at the end of the race for this guy. But it was a good battle throughout. So you can see things are really, really separating out here. And the first 4 of us here got it pretty good lead. There's still quite a bunch of people that are just a couple of seconds back, and we don't push the pace here. This is still the lead-in to the loops, and we got to do 2 laps of this thing. So, I think nobody really wanted to try to get away. So we're cruising along here, and I'm just trying to stay out of the wind, and you'll see this arch come up right out there. That's the actual finish line, and I completely space on that, as you'll see. The other thing is we got the stone and the wood surface, and it behaves differently than the gravel. It's not quite as easy on the gravel bike as gravel, and I feel it makes it a little tougher to stay with the group, and I worry about that, and I have to bridge that little gap right there because I'm falling off the back. There's a couple of guys that go out front, and I want to keep those guys in check, and for a moment here I push out myself just to sort of push the pace and let people know that they got to pay attention. But as normal, I just get back out of the wind and draft. So pretty much this top 5, 6 group stays together through the rest of the race. I think at about this point, at the bridge here, as we go down the bridge and then push hard to go up the other side, this is where I start to feel it. And I'm really gassed at this point. My heart rate's at 160 and coming down a little bit, but I'm feeling the pressure here. And once we go through the little village here on the stone, I'm starting to feel it and struggling to stay with these guys. There's some surges here and there, but it's tough. And starting to think about how this is going to work. Right about in here, I'm struggling to stay on these guys, and after this climb is the end. So there's only a couple of kilometers left. And as we get going in this climb, it starts getting dicey, and this guy in the white there starts leading and starts steering through the corners, and I kind of forgot we could steer. In ZRL you can't steer, but in this race you can. So he's juking all over the course, and so that adds another dimension to stay in the draft that makes it difficult. Coming up here the last time to the bridge, you see that guy take a flyer. He goes off the front, and we try to chase and don't really get anywhere. I'm just sitting on the back trying to recover. I completely lose track of where the finish is. So as I see this professor here, he starts to ease up on the power to get behind me and opens up a gap, and so I push. I'm thinking we got another, almost 2 kilometers to go. I don't realize that the sprint is just coming up, and he pours on the power. I don't realize it, and there's the finish line right there. And well, that's what I get from not paying attention to the distance, and I get my 5th. I don't, maybe I could have held him on or out sprinted him, but it doesn't really make much difference in the end anyway. So anyway, you know, 5th place, not bad. I probably should have done better, but there we go. So thanks for watching.